I've made the decision that I want to finish my very high paying career, but I'm really scared to do it. It's such a big leap. There was something inside my heart that just really opened, and for the first time I realised that giving my time to others without any expectation of anything in return made me way happier than earning lots of money. If the universe wants you to have money and you need money, it will put it in your pocket. I went home and bought a plane ticket to Peru. Freedom is having the time and the flexibility and not having to go into an office from 9 o'clock until 5 o'clock or whatever hours it is. I worked with primarily technology companies from the Silicon Valley. So I would generally work 18 hours a day, typically. I used to believe that having a lot of money would make me happy. And then also prestige, being seen as a successful entrepreneur, being called upon to talk in front of large audiences, about the technology industry. I had 6 cars. I had 6 cars in my garage, which seems crazy. The one thing that really sticks out in my mind about the actual point of I can't do this any longer was standing on a balcony in Lagos in Nigeria, in a 5-star hotel where people were coming to meet me to talk about the products that I was selling. And I was standing on the balcony and surrounding the hotel was razor wire, and the other side of the razor wire were slums where I could look from my balcony into these slums and see kids running around with no clothes on, and they have no access to clean water or any real basic convenience. And while I'd travelled the world and seen this in many countries, it was just at that point in time in my life that I thought I really need to try and turn my life into something where I'm giving to help build community, to try and help young people realise their potential. It was a gradual spiritual awakening, really. I had come across a movement called service space. One part of this project was a thing called Karma Kitchen, which was a restaurant that was run by volunteers. I think it was every Sunday, they would take over a space of a restaurant in Berkeley, California, that wasn't normally open on a Sunday. And volunteers would turn up, and we would cook and serve meals to people that came in, and then the check, the bill at the end of the meal was $0, and it would invite you to pay it forward. So it would say something like, somebody that sat in this seat last Sunday has paid for your meal. We ask you to think about value versus cost, and if you would like to pay this forward so somebody else can come and eat a meal next Sunday, please do, but your bill is $0. When, at the end of this day, when I was a server, I was a waiter for the day, at the end of this, there was something inside my heart that just really opened, and for the first time I realised that giving my time to others without any expectation of anything in return made me way happier than earning lots of money and the prestige of my career. I found Buddhist meditation, and so I started doing Buddhist retreats, doing Vipassanas, and slowly started giving my time to, different projects, and every project that I ever went and gave my time for free to, I came away from just with more and more love and joy in my heart, and just this realization that my life, striving after as much money as I could, didn't make me happy. The opposite was true. Well, we live in a tiny community called Mazca, 3,300 meters up in the Andes. And there are 12 small communities around us that form PSAC. And we run a project called the Andean Schumacher College. The Andean Schumacher College is a place for people to come and learn art and ecology, the purpose of which is to preserve the pre-colonial Andean way of being, which is largely being lost. So there are two parts of the project. One is the community part of the project, where we bring young people from the 12 remote communities of PSAC through to learn from their elders in our college about how to be with the land, so how to farm organically. We would in Europe call it, or the US call it, permaculture. We don't use that term here because it's not a Quechua word, it's not a known way of doing things, but it's basically permaculture is what we're doing. So we work, all of the teachers in this project are locals from these communities that have expertise either in ecology, how to farm the land at high altitudes, in the arts, so primarily ceramics, and weaving, the textiles, the Quechua language as well, which is being lost a lot because they don't really teach it much in the schools here. So we hope that this project will teach young people how to be with the land the way it used to be. And what we also have is foreign students coming in, both from Schumacher College in the UK and other like-minded organisations in the Northern Hemisphere, primarily the US and Europe, that are interested in doing placements. So they will be studying at a university art or ecology, and they're interested in coming and seeing how Peru used to do it in the times of the Inca and the pre-Spanish conquest. So they come and pay the local indigenous wisdom holders to learn about local art and local ecology, and the payment of that, any profit that's generated from running those courses goes directly back into the community, which enables us to have the young people of these 12 remote communities come through the school and learning about the traditional arts and ecology. So 8 years ago, when I said to my now wife, Roxana, I think I need to go and live my life in the service of others and experiment to see if I can live in the gift economy without earning money. And I'm so fortunate that she supports me in that. It was the scariest decision I've ever made, but I was fortunate in being able to have a couple of mentors. I've mentioned them already, Satish Kumar and Nipamita, who I held the conversation with and said, this is what I want to do. I've made the decision that I want to give all of my possessions away to finish my very high-paying career and try this experiment. But I'm really scared to do it. It's such a big leap. And, you know, so I asked them, they're people that live this same life, you know, how did you get the courage to take the first step? And I remember Satish specifically just, when I initially asked him, he in a very beautiful, loving way, just started laughing at me. He said, the universe will look after you. It's reciprocal. If you give yourself in the service of others, you will be looked after. If the universe wants you to have money and you need money, it will put it in your pocket. Don't worry. He said you have all of the creativity. Everybody has all of the creativity inside them. You are a child of the universe. You know, you have the stars in you. So after I had that conversation, it went on a lot longer than that, and certainly Satish gave me many more wise words. But after that conversation, I went home and bought a plane ticket to Peru. We decided to come to Peru actually not because my wife is Peruvian. We were living in London at the time, but because I thought it would be a slightly softer landing to come to a country where we already had family. So, I mean, I could have gone anywhere in the world. I could have gone to, you know, I'd spent a lot of time in Africa, for example. So I could have gone to Africa and, you know, gone and put my life in the service of children in Africa, for example. But I thought, okay, if we're going to make this huge leap of giving everything away and putting our lives in the service, that it would be maybe a good idea that there was at least a small support mechanism around us of some family. So that's why we decided to come to Peru. So even though I came here with my eyes wide open, under no illusion that this was going to be an easy thing to do, I actually never imagined how difficult it was going to be. I mean, the culture is so vastly different than what I was used to and how I'd lived. It was a little bit of a shock. It's taken a long time to get used to it. I mean, just the general bureaucracy of living in this country, it can be very frustrating. But there's a lot of challenges especially for the communities that we live in, because the majority of the people that live there are what we would consider in the West financially poor. I mean, in actually living in poverty but we don't see it like that. They're rich in so many other ways. Yes, they don't have financial means, but they're rich in many other ways. They're sustenance farmers. So, you know, they rely on their small pieces of land to feed their families. So it's very, very much hand-to-mouth, day-to-day living. And one part of our project is helping the young people to realise the value that they actually have in the knowledge that they hold in their arts and their ecology and their cosmology, the cosmovision of the Andes. Young people here are very confused about their place in the world, as many indigenous populations are. They see, you know, the twinkling lights of the city as a way out of what they consider poverty. They don't see the richness of their lives I mean, of course, not all of them, but many of them. And we see a lot of people, a lot of young people striving to move from the mountains to the city, you know, to live what they think is an easier life. Yeah, I don't have to bend over and farm all the time. I don't have to tend my livestock. I'm going to be a knowledge worker. You know, I'm going to live. You know, I'm going to go to the office. That's what I want to do. You know, I'm going to live in an apartment where I don't know my neighbours. It's not as rich. It's not as rich. So we need to encourage young people to stay and for them to realise that the knowledge that their communities hold is valuable for the world. Again, especially given the changes that are going on in society, you know, and the breakdown of political systems all over the world, and the breakdown of community, you know, and as these things start impacting us more and more and more, and with climate change, again, I've said this before, that knowledge is, I believe, going to become more and more and more important. All Indigenous knowledge. My children thought I was absolutely crazy to do this, and they didn't support it, and I can respect that and understand that. But the call was just too strong to do this. I have to say, I mean, this life is certainly not for everybody, but I do believe that everybody has the opportunity to be in the service of others. I don't necessarily think that everybody needs to give up their job, to give up all of their possessions, and you know, to move away from their hometown. You can be in service right where you are, and it's a mental attitude, and it takes training to always consider the other before you consider yourself. What I've learned in my life, I'm 54. Is that right? I'm 54, I think so. You know, I was lucky to have a very successful career at a time when the internet was, as we know the internet today, the World Wide Web, was being built. So I went through that rocket ride, really, of being at the real start of something that is now so prevalent in everybody's life, and not everybody gets that opportunity. What I've learned is what most people think will make them happy, which is possessions. It doesn't. We are slowly destroying our planet for no reason that makes any of us happy. I didn't used to think that community was a thing that had any real value in it. I had become, like many people in the Northern Hemisphere, very focused on myself. What I found is that possessions don't make me happy, and I don't believe they make anybody happy. They can give you some comfort, but destroying our planet so we can get more of stuff that doesn't make us happy, it seems crazy to me now. I really believe that a life in service, of however small that service is, and embracing that way of being through practices like meditation, is the thing that makes us happy. We don't all have to give up everything that we own and go on this like a crazy journey like I'm doing, but even just doing one small act of kindness every day, that can be anything really. And what happens over time, every time you do that act of kindness, the love inside you becomes stronger and stronger, and you attract other people that are on the same journey.